Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew DeSantis.
And I'm Kaylie Shapiro.
And welcome to our Cigar Mile preview right here on NYRA Bets. Welcome, everyone, to this preview for Saturday's Cigar Mile at Aqueduct. Listen, folks, if you're not playing on NYRA Bets already, make sure to use that promo code BONUS200 because if you use that, you get up to a $200 deposit match bonus. So make sure to use that promo code BONUS200 today. Kaylie, we have a huge Saturday of racing at Aqueduct. Might be a little chilly, but the racing action is going to be hot, led by and marqueed by the Cigar Mile towards the end of the card. Going to be a really fun race.
Definitely. And this year is really special. It's the last Cigar Mile ever at Aqueduct. Yeah. And, that's a little emotional, but it's going to be a great day. And the card is amazing. So couldn't be more excited.
It is. Obviously, you can check out what Kaylie and I think is going to take place in the Demoiselle and the Remsen, the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby prep races, respectively, on another video here on the channel. And you talked to the Hall of Famer, Nick Zito, about those races as well as the Cigar Mile, so people can check that out. That's going to be dropping on Friday morning, so make sure to check that video out when it does. Listen, the Cigar Mile, a race that has a ton of history. Obviously, a horse like Locked won this race just a year ago. You've seen some really classic winners of this race over the years. This field, it's only a 7-horse field, but I think there's some intrigue here, and let's dive into it. And you really like a horse right on that inside rail, the number 1 Doc Sullivan for Johnny Ortiz, Ricardo Santana Jr. up 5-1 on the morning line. A New York-bred winning the Cigar Mile, that'd be a great story.
It would be a great story, but I really think John Ortiz has done a phenomenal job with this horse since he's been in Johnny's barn. I mean, in just his first start, he ran really well for John Ortiz, got a 98. And then after that, he entered him in open company, graded stakes races at one at Saratoga, one here at the Big A. But in the Forgo, this horse hit the board. He ran 4th that day. I thought, that's pretty impressive. And then he hit the board in that open in the Vosburg after that as well. And then just looking at that last race that Doc Sullivan ran, I mean, he got a 96 Buyer speed figure. That was just 2 weeks ago. And as soon as I saw him come up in the entries, I was like, didn't this horse just run?
Yeah.
But to be that aggressive, for John Ortiz to be that aggressive, wheeling this horse back off of 2 weeks rest, really says something. I think this horse is ready to pop. He's in really good form, and I think he's getting to know this horse well. And I think a mile is going to hit him right in between the eye, and he's run well going a mile before.
Yeah.
And he handles any track, fast track, sloppy track, anything. So this horse I really like, and I think he'll be able to save ground as well, coming from that one hole. And John Ortiz, wheeling horses off of just 2 to 3 weeks rest in any stakes race, graded or listed. He's, I think 24%, 21%, which is pretty strong stats if you just look at his regular win percentage. So he's had a lot of success wheeling horses back off the short of a rest.
He does. I mean, that's a high percentage for such a very specific and yet very unusual move to wheel a horse back on 2 to 3 weeks rest in a stakes race. And Johnny's usually about a 14% trainer. So the fact that you see that 21% really does pop up. Doc Sullivan's a real nice horse. I have him second. I like this horse a lot. I think he's rounding into really outstanding form. You can draw a line through that race 2 back. A mile and 1/8 is not what he wants to do. That one turn, 7 furlongs or a mile, that's ideal. And I just feel like, John's figured something out with him. And Ricardo's a good jockey for him. He's losing Joel Rosario, but I don't think that's a negative. I think Ricardo has been riding very, very well. And I think when you put Ricardo on a horse that needs to be forwardly placed, that's where you want to be. So I like Doc Sullivan quite a bit. Now let's move a little bit more on the inside with Mika, the number 2 horse for Mike Maker, sired by Catholic Boy, Manny Franco up on the mount. This one popped a big speed figure in Brittany Russell's barn last time out, going a mile and a 16th at Laurel, ran a 95, won in gate to wire fashion by 14.5 lengths. Now, I don't know how much, this one beat against N1X starter allowance company basically at Laurel, but it's going to be a major pace presence in this race for sure.
Definitely going to be a major pace presence, and not a horse that I put in my mix, but I do think will play a significant role in being up on the front end.
Absolutely. No, I think for sure will play a significant role. And I think that's going to maybe have an impact on another horse that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But with this horse only has one way to win.
Mhm.
So Manny's not going to get cute. Mike's Maker's not going to get cute. You just go to the front. That's the whole point here with a horse like Mika and see how far you can go. And listen, the horse can handle distance, win a mile and a 16th. So the idea of it's not like a sprinter stretching out. This horse, Catholic Boy might not be a great sire, but one thing Catholic Boy can do is get distance out of his runners a lot of times. So, again, I'm not a horse that I'm including, but a horse that is going to be a factor in this race. Now, let's talk about a little bit of a long shot that you like, the number 3 Pentathlon for Shug McGaughey, Junior Alvarado, not riding for Bill Mott here, riding for Shug. Instead, this one's facing Stakes Company for the first time, but I don't know. There's a couple things you seem to like about this one.
There's a lot of things I like about this one. I have him third, but if he's anywhere near 10-1, I'm gonna bet him to win on Saturday, and maybe him and Doc Sullivan just take a shot on putting them both on top, maybe. But I really like this horse's chances. I know first time facing a graded Stakes Company, but the fact that Shug is entering him here says literally everything. Phipps Stable owns this horse. Pretty big connections to debut this horse in a graded stakes race for. So I'd imagine he's ready to go. 2 back, he put in a bullet work, 47-1 on November 21st. That definitely catches the eye. And I think it was completely intentional for his last race to be a mile over this track. And he ran a 92. Which is more than competitive with this field. I mean, if you separate out Phileas Fogg's triple-digit figures, going 1.25 miles and running away and doing that, this horse fits in right with this group. And Junior Alvarado's taking the mount as well. And Shug and Junior, I was kind of curious about it. I pulled the stat when they team up in graded stakes races, they hit at 33%.
You can't argue with that. That's very impressive. And those two don't team up often. So when they do team up, it really hits. I remember Fort Washington was a horse on the Preakness Day undercard, if I'm not mistaken, that won a big turf race there. And I remember that very vividly because I remember Donna Brothers asked Junior after he won that race who he would be wanting to ride, because, of course, Sovereignty wasn't in the Preakness. She goes, who would you want to ride in the Preakness if you had him out? And he took about 2 seconds to say,
Journalism.
Yeah, journalism. So it was one of my favorite moments there. But Pentathlon's a really nice horse, and I don't want to distract from that. And he comes out of that insanely good maiden special weight race going all the way back to 2023 at Saratoga's. He debuted in this race, Just Steel, BU, Locked, Domestic Product, all came out of that one race.
Wow.
And now Pentathlon. That was one of the better races that we had at Saratoga 2 years ago up there. That was his debut race. Obviously finished 6th, finished a long way back, but always a horse that obviously Shug had a high regard of because he ran against some nice runners, drumroll please, Huntball, Illuminaire, Digital Ops. So always ran against good ones, and I was always placed very appropriately. And now you're like you said, Shug stepping the horse up, and that bullet work, you don't see Shug put a lot of horses out in bullets in the mornings. And so this one might be really ready to run.
Definitely. And if you see 14 lifetime starts, and this is the horse's first time in a graded stakes race, that just says a lot to me. And I love Junior Alvarado, and obviously excited for him to take the mount on this one. I think he has a pretty good shot. Yeah,
and listen, he's going to have the right running style too, because he likes to sit more of a tracking trip. So he can let a horse like Mika and maybe Phileas Fogg, who we'll talk about in a second, go out up front and then just track behind that. Now, horse is going to be tracking well off the pace, and is going to be the last horse going down the backstretch is number 4, Crazy Mason, Greg Sacco, Irad Ortiz Jr. This is a horse that won the Carter last year, so is a grade 2 winner, and came up just short again, some big spots in the Forgo and the Vosburg, running a little bit shorter, obviously going 7 furlongs, is going to a mile now and has not necessarily had a ton of success at that distance, but it certainly is a talented horse.
Definitely a talented horse. I just don't like him here because they're not going, 7 furlongs.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right.
I think the horse is better sprinting. I think the horse is even better going 6.5, 6 than 7.
Yeah.
So that was just my only concern with Crazy Mason, and obviously seeing Irad Ortiz take the mount. I mean, makes you wonder what their intentions are with this one. Maybe they change up tactics here. I mean, but I'm just not interested in a horse that is doing something that isn't his special, in a type of field like this, where I think there's more interesting horses.
I agree with you. I mean, his lone victory at a mile was actually a mile and 40 down at Tampa. So that's a 2-turn race, not a 1-turn. He's the type of horse that he just makes me think of, he's a deep closer. And I think this is where people get into issues with deep closers, is they misinterpret it and go, oh, he should want more distance. It's not so much he wants more distance, he wants pace.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to get as much pace at a mile as you do at 7 or 6.5. So I don't know if he gets the pace, although I think the pace, to be honest here, the one thing I have to say about Crazy Mason is this horse closes no matter what. Like this horse will close no matter what the track is, no matter what the distance is. He comes running, and no matter if there's a speed bias or a track bias or a rail bias, or this horse will make his run. I'm not sure a mile is going to be his best distance here, but and he's coming off a little bit of a layoff, hasn't run since late September. And those last couple of races, the Vosburg, the Forgo, were not his best efforts from a speed figure standpoint. So he's going to really need to pop back to his top form to be competitive.
I completely agree. I think the layoff is also what I took into consideration. I mean, if he closes well and hits the board, I won't be shocked by any means. He's a really talented horse, but I just prefer him going a little shorter.
Sure. Listen, let's talk about the number 5, Brazenly. This is a long shot in this race for Chris Engelhardt. This is a horse that, doesn't have many wins against even optional claiming company. And it's hard for me to see this one really making any sort of an impact in this race. Doesn't even really have exceptional speed. So even on like a horse like Mika, who you might go, well, that horse is at least going to play a factor. It's hard to really even see Brazenly playing a factor here, other than having Hall of Famer John Velasquez aboard.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about him. I mean, I don't know, maybe their tactics change. Maybe they send him. I don't know. They could try to switch things up with this one, but I couldn't imagine the type of trip that he would work out here.
Yeah, same here. But let's go to the morning line favorite, 9-5 morning line favorite. I think it's going to be pretty close. And David has it very close between the top 2 choices. And Phileas Fogg, he gave the nod to the number 6 here for Gustavo Rodriguez. This is a horse that's run against outstanding competition. Listen, he won the Suburban, he won the Excelsior, but those were 1.25-mile races. And, he ran up against a horse like Awesome Aaron when that horse was in amazing form in the Pimlico Special and finished second. Finished third in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, was DQ'd all the way back to last. But, he ran a pretty good race that day. If you forget about what happened in the start, and then he came back and ran second in the Woodward, very short-fielded Woodward, where he lost Locked. You're out on him because it feels like there's a lot of changes going on with Phileas Fogg.
I'm just confused. I don't understand. I mean, they're putting blinkers on. And listen, obviously the trainer knows the horse better than I do. So maybe there's a real reason why they're putting blinkers on. Maybe the way that he was caught by Locked last time out. I did not like the way that he was caught by Locked last time out. That's why I'm out on him. And if you notice, that was also going a little shorter than those 1.25-mile races that he had just come off of, that he ran so well in. So I don't think that a mile is this horse's best distance. And I mean, obviously he's won going a mile, but I just think he's better going longer when he's able to work out a trip. I think he'll have some company.
Yeah.
Also, he's never run with blinkers on ever.
Yeah.
They're putting blinkers on, which sometimes could have a negative impact. And
never switch up the jockey.
And jockey change. I mean, there's a lot of changes here.
Kendrick Carmouche off, Joel Rosario on. And listen, Joel's very good up on the front end when he decides to go. The critical word in that last sentence was decide, because sometimes Joel decides to rate horses, and then I just go, what are we doing? What are we doing? Put the horse in the lead. That's what the horse likes to do. Now I think with the blinkers on, the outside post position, Joel's sending, but he got Mika to contend with. And here's the other thing: there's a big difference between being the pace presence at 1.125 or 1.25 and being the pace presence in a 1-turn mile. Those are different types of speed. Now, Phileas Fogg's a fast horse, no two ways about it. He's going to be up on the front end. But Mika, I think, is going to burn him up a little bit. I also didn't like the way he was caught by Lock. Lock looked like he was floundering at one point and still managed to get up for the win in the Woodward. But that horse is quirky in and of itself. But that was a weird race with only 3 horses. But he should have walked over that field because he walked the dog up front and he wasn't able to do it. So Phileas Fogg at 9-5, a horse I'm not using up top, but a horse I am using up top is the number 7 Bishop's Bay for trainer Brad Cox. This is a really interesting horse because, Kaylie, this is a horse that costs $1.3 million and has won over $700,000 on the track, has won 3 grade 3 races. He's probably, if he wins this, he's going to have a career as a stallion. He probably already does have at least a minor career somewhere as a stallion.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got a big female family because he's a half sibling to Catching Freedom, who won the Louisiana Derby.
Mm-hmm.
He's related to Strava, who was a 6-time winner, a nice horse. Bishop's Bay is a horse for Brad Cox. It just feels like this horse flies under the radar, but is undefeated with Flavian Prat aboard.
Yeah, he is undefeated with Flavian Prat aboard. I mean, I have this horse second.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be really tough, and I think he even gets upgraded if the track is wet at all.
Yeah.
I mean, this horse really loves a wet
track, yeah.
but also runs well no matter what. And
Yeah.
I mean, I would have this horse on all my tickets. He's going to be pretty tough, and I think drew well too. You know,
Drew very well to the outside.
Yes, which is, you want to be drawn to the outside of Phileas Fogg. I think he could set a really nice tracking trip. And yeah, this horse is tough. I have him second.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, he's very tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you look at his last 6 races since Pratt took over,
mm-hmm.
and the one race he lost was when Irad Ortiz Jr. took over. But that Forgo, I'm not going to put it on Irad, but that Forgo, he stumbled out of the gate and he was 5th.
Mm-hmm.
That's not his trip. He was also stuck inside. And I had to try to climb and move up a little bit in that race. That was a grade 1 race, too.
Exactly.
So he's facing Bookham Dano in Scotland, and he's facing some tough horses. His trip is sitting second, maybe third, flanked on the outside of horses, and then being able to make a run. He's had lugging issues. It feels like Flavian's kind of figured that out. I remember that was an issue in the Westchester where Flavian actually really appreciated the fact that the other jockey kind of kept him pinned in a little bit because it kept him focused. But Bishop's Bay is a horse that I think has a ton of talent, and Cox is just so dangerous up here, and Flavian's on such a roll. Those two together over the last year at Aqueduct have won 57% of the time. Yeah. Would you like those odds?
Yeah.
So now, I mean, so listen, he's going to be a shorter price.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play him over Doc Sullivan straight. You're going to play Doc Sullivan over him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the two. And if there's an angle that you and I are playing, is to try to fade Phileas Fogg in this particular spot. But listen, it's going to be a lot of fun. Saturday is going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday is going to be a little sad. We'll do some pictures at the track.
Mm-hmm.
We'll maybe talk to some folks. The final Cigar Mile at Aqueduct.
Final Cigar Mile. I mean, I just couldn't be more excited, though. The card's amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously, we previewed the Remsen and the Demoiselle in our other video. Yep. So, and the Elite Power, the first ever.
Yeah, the first ever Elite Power. I heard that Sovereignty's just going to come out of hiding, and and then all of a sudden his music's going to play, and Jim Ross is going, good God Almighty, is that Sovereignty? That's Sovereignty, and Sovereignty with Bill Mott is just going to win the Elite Power because it's Bill Mott.
I'd fall over.
I know you would fall over. EMS would have to you'd have to be revived. But no, I mean, it's very exciting. By the way, it was like, I also remember looking at the stakes schedule, and I think you looked at it first. You're like, wait, we have an Elite Power stakes now? And it was like, yes, nobody really announced this. And this was several months ago when we were looking ahead, but that we've since announced things as NYRA. But it's very cool that Elite Power, that was a horse you really loved for Mott.
I love Elite Power.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a hell of a sire.
I think he is too. Now, his showdowns with Gunite were always fantastic. Mm-hmm. Great horse. And so very exciting to have a stakes race named after him up here in New York. Listen, going to be a lot of fun at the Big A. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure to use that promo code BONUS200 if you're not playing on NYRA Bets yet to get up to a $200 deposit match bonus today. For Kaylie Shapiro, my name is Matthew DeSantis. Wishing you a great and profitable day at the races. And reminding you, friends, it's now post time.